Well, Trish mentioned working with professional actors. The company we work with is called Talking Shop Training Limited, and the man behind that business is Stuart Theobald. I had the opportunity of asking Stuart how the actors are used in the training and, importantly, how they add to the delegates' learning.
I think the one thing that we're able to do is to put into practice the skills that they learn through the rest of the programme. It's a case of actually showing it, displaying it and demonstrating how it works well or works less well. It gives the audience a chance to interact and actually say, well, actually you can't say that, you can't do that, and if you do that, this is going to happen, and we can demonstrate that, and they then give us suggestions which we can then play out. So they get a chance to see what will work and what reaction they'll get when they do that, and how they've learned what they've learned in generally the first part of the session, and how they can implement that into a real situation. So it's about bringing it to life and giving them a chance to actually see it played out, both when it doesn't work and things to avoid, and when it does work. We do a lot around performance management, and we ran a performance management session quite recently where I think it was a case of spending a little more time actually making sure you understood the other person. Yes, it's important to be assertive sometimes, but it's important to be clear. And this is where the performance is going wrong, and you have to state that with clarity. And it's also important to explore the other person's perspective. So we spent quite a lot of time just exploring and getting to know what it feels like to actually be in that situation where you can just understand and dig a little deeper and really get to the bottom of things without perhaps any preconceived ideas you might have. And just explore and get to the bottom and understand what the other person's thinking and feeling and why they're behaving the way they're behaving, and how, therefore, can we best change their behaviour, change their performance, and improve the situation as we need to. We've worked with Pinsent for over 10 years now, so it's been quite a long-term relationship. And the first thing we do is to understand the client a little bit more about what their aims and objectives are, the purpose for the training. And we will then write a scenario that reflects a real situation for them. So we'll get a brief for that in advance. We can talk that through and make sure that it is appropriate for them. And we will then generally run our session in the afternoon if it's a full day. So Pinsents will do their piece in the morning, and then we will do our bit in the afternoon, and encouraging the participants then to put into practice the things they learnt in the morning session. So it's dovetailing the two together is what's important.
Well, that style of training that Stuart's talking about is often described as forum theatre, and indeed that's how it's described in the literature that accompanies the courses where we team up with Talking Shop. Forum theatre is not a term that everybody is familiar with. Stuart Theobald again.
Forum theatre isn't anything new, I have to say. It's not something we've invented. It started in the 70s. It was a chap called Augusto Boal, who was a politician in Brazil in the 1970s, and also a dramatist. And he put on a performance, and in that performance, someone stopped the action and said, actually, it shouldn't happen like that. If that person said that to that person, that's not the way they'd react. And he thought that was really interesting, and explored that as an opportunity to involve an audience in a piece of drama. And that was then taken and it's been used in education and training ever since. And we've developed that concept to work with Pinsent Masons to demonstrate how good practice works. Having said we demonstrate how good practice works, we start by demonstrating generally how bad practice works. So we will put on a scene, they will watch it, the participants will take notes, we will encourage everyone to take notes, and having done that, we then encourage them to give us some feedback. So what do you think worked? What didn't work? What's really important, because people are often a little bit nervous when you say you've got actors coming in, am I going to have to role play? It's not role play for them. We do all the acting, they're the audience. We encourage, we never force, but we encourage people to get involved, to give us feedback, to tell us what they think. And we will then play it out for them again so they can actually see how it works in practice. And some of their suggestions will work very, very well, and they can see that's really good practice. That's something I want to continue to do myself. And they can perhaps see how some other suggestions don't work quite so well, and that's something clearly to be avoided. So it's about encouraging people to get involved, to give comment, to give feedback, and to have a bit of fun with it, but also to learn some really important skills to start to apply the techniques that they learn and the information that they gain from the first part of the session.
Well, following the forum theatre, that's to say actors performing on stage with delegates watching and taking notes, there follows a more interactive phase of the training where delegates are involved working with the actors in a one-to-one card exercise. Stuart Theobald again.
Some people call it role play. We never use the term role play, and the reason we don't use the term is for two reasons. One reason is because people are fearful of it, to be perfectly honest. If you say to someone, right, we're going to do some role play now, and I know I've been involved myself from my old days of working for BT, when I would go on a training course and we'd be told we'd do some role play, and two participants would role play with each other, and it would literally be a role play, as in we weren't really being ourselves. We were pretending to be someone else, and we were practicing an artificial scenario. So we don't do that. What we do is practice, and in that, generally, we have a situation where we have a card, and we give the person the card, and on the card there is a situation. Maybe someone's underperforming if it's a performance management course that we're doing, and on the other side is a character. We play the character. Certain behaviours, maybe shy, quiet, maybe arrogant, talkative, and we'll play those characteristics and give the participant the opportunity to be themselves and just have a conversation with us and just practice using the skills that we've worked through the forum theatre and the things that they've learnt in the morning to actually put those into a real conversation. So people are nervous about it. It's really interesting how people get involved in it once we start. And it's fascinating to see how often the feedback forms actually say the best bit for me was the practice.